My name is Alberto Lugo. 34 years old. Was born here in Trenton, Helen Full Hospital. As far as I know, I was an afternoon baby. I was supposed to be born on Christmas. My mom said I couldn't wait. Kind of a impatient person, so impulsive. Um, Besides that, Trenton is home. Trenton is home for me. Well, what inspired me to do art was my family. My mother was a really good drawer. My uncles were really good drawers. I had several people in my family do a lot of illustrative art. So growing up, I would, see that and like wowed by it. And then I still remember I used to try to compete with my uncles and my aunts. And then when I couldn't draw the way they did, I used to get really frustrated. And my mother would tell me keep doing it, keep doing it. You're going to get better. You're going to get better. And then when I started doing that, and then kids at school were like really impressed with my artwork, then it started like, I could do this. I was just like, I like art because it kind of made me a little bit popular. As far as I didn't get passionate about art until after high school because in high school, I didn't do art class because I didn't like it being graded. And sometimes I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I didn't want to do the project that they had assigned for me. And then one time I got a C or a D in my art class, and I was like, nope, I'm not doing art anymore. I'm not taking art class. And nobody I knew was making money off of art, so I always thought of it as a hobby. Graduated college, and in college I was always drawing people's tattoos and doing all these kind of art stuff that I always loved doing. I doodled on absolutely everything, which is a little side funny story. Had to take my SATs over again because on the little test booklet where it says notes, they said you weren't allowed to make any markings, and I doodled in it, and they threw out my original, my first time SAT scores were forfeited because I doodled on the notepad of the test booklet. So I was just like, so like art cost me my first SAT scores. And then I started tattooing when I saw people that were doing it that couldn't draw for nothing. And then I started doing it, and the first time I ever tattooed a living canvas, I was instantly hooked. And then that fueled my passion into painting, designing clothes, logos for people. I even took a semi-graphic arts class just to see what it was because it was for free. And just pretty much I love anything that has to do with creating. But that's where I get my passion came from my family and was mostly inspired by the positive reinforcement I got from my peers. Well, I would say the biggest influence that growing up is the sense of community. Growing up in the Spanish community or the Puerto Rican community in particular, I grew up as a child at the Puerto Rican Daycare Center. It used to be here on Broad Street, and then it moved to Hamilton Avenue. So I was surrounded by like a Puerto Rican daycare, like a lot of Puerto Rican kids. The workers there were Puerto Rican. So we used to listen to a lot of music, food. People used to bring, the food in Puerto Rico is just one of the things that just inspires you to do everything because a good soulful food in you just makes you feel good and you always want to do good things. So yeah, that and then like I said, music, dancing. Almost every Puerto Rican family's house I ever went to had nothing but, as you also see behind me, a lot of Christian-based art. So there was always paintings from church. I was very captivated by some of the paintings I would see at some Catholic church and some Christian churches. That definitely influenced me. My family used to have, elephants all over the place, and angels and stuff like that. So I guess when I was little, I didn't realize how much it would influence me now until right now when I answer the question that between Christianity, religion, and the Puerto Rican community as when it came to our culture with like our food, our music, even our mannerisms. There's certain sayings that, should I say, just sound better in Spanish, but that I only heard Puerto Rican families use, and I'm like, oh, like it's not just my mom. I was like, your mom said the same thing, or your aunt. So that would be basically it. I would definitely say I would want to pass on the community aspect. I like to have my art viewed by the community. I love painting in front of people, where it's not just me in a room and then I just showcase it. I love when I'm doing a painting and people come up and ask 1,001 questions. Especially if like I said, if when we have Puerto Rican events, and I have an example would be with Sam, we did where I'm painting live as a band from Puerto Rico is playing, and as their music is playing, and brings me back to that growing up, that sense of belonging to that culture, dancing and everything. It completely influenced what I was painting. I had no idea. I didn't even have a pre-concept of what I was going to paint. I literally let the music decide what I wanted to paint. So whatever I painted was directly influenced from the music from that island. That's just in one aspect of how I used culture today, and I would say the way I could influence today's youth would be like for them to see something like that they've never seen before. Because I know I didn't grow up seeing people painting while a band was playing, or see any of my friends that were in the Puerto Rican community make a mural. It was always people of other cultures that I've noticed. So if I could just influence someone in my Puerto Rican community that doesn't have influences like that, but they see or come across something of my work that influences them or inspires them to be more creative, I would take that as a very good compliment for me. I would love to help the stigma that Trenton has. Like, I would love to change when someone says, "Oh, you're from Trenton," to be like, "Oh, you're from Trenton," not like, "Oh, you're from Trenton." Mm-hmm. Like that the stigma that that Trenton is violent, that Trenton is very poor, that Trenton is ghetto, or Trenton is just not the best place to be. I can't say it's not, but I know what it was and what it can be. This place has diamonds and a whole lot of rough, but if I could just start scraping up some of that exactly. rough and start showing people, there's diamonds here, and that is worth coming here, and I also say, like, if we're already at the bottom, we're one of the cities that is considered at the bottom, we can only go up. First, as the art community, just make it bigger, more well known, and more financially funded. I would love to see people, anyone, whether it's your grandmother, your aunt, uncle, or someone just in the middle of high school, wants to do some kind of artwork, or they have a natural talent for that, they can build a life around that. They can pay their bills, pay their car note, and yet they get up and they don't have to go work for a boss, or necessarily they can go and I'm gonna go paint a canvas, I'm gonna do a tattoo, I'm going to write some music today, or all the above, and know that somehow, some way, there's an avenue for them to make financial gains doing that. So if I could influence this city to actually fund and actually finance artists, so that visually, I think everything is art. I mean, architecture, everything that's ever been built was drawn before it was built. I would like for people to understand that art is in everything. There's nothing, even food. I just want people to not only just work hard thinking they have to go to college and get a job, that they can do something they're absolutely passionate about, practice it, and make money doing it. You be that one example, like, how am I going to pay my bills, if they came from poverty or not, just to be like, this is an avenue for you. You can do this forever to the day you die. And, you can still put food in your mouth, a roof over your head, and the heat on, keep the lights on. And if you could do that while doing what it is you love, you never have to do a day of work in your life.